Today we're going to look at Necron's best friend, the Canoptek Scarabs in 9th edition, and it's coming right up.
Necrons!
Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. And if you're enjoying my channel and you haven't subscribed yet, then please subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss an upload. It will help me reach my end of year goal of 22,000 subscribers. I just need 200 more. Okay, so today we're looking at the Canoptek Scarabs in 9th edition. I've seen Scarabs change dramatically over the different editions, sometimes being really bad and unusable, and sometimes being, well, let's face it, totally overpowered. Do you remember 5th edition and how they worked? I took out land raiders very easily. We also had the Canoptek Harvest in 7th edition. Scarabs have been fantastic over the years. They've also had some of their down moments. However, how are they faring in 9th edition? Well, this fast attack unit hasn't really changed much in its stats line. It still moves 10 inches. They still have a weapon skill 4 with no ballistic skill. They have no guns. Strength 3 and toughness 3, leadership 10 and a 6+ save. They also maintain their 4 attacks, but now they have 4 wounds, so a lot more survivable. Now they do have reanimation protocol, but as you know, the more wounds you have, the harder it is to reanimate. That means if you lose a base, you've got to roll, well, 4 5s and 6s to get the base back. So, well, very difficult to do that. However, we can get bases back in other ways, which we will talk about later in the video. Rule number 2. First, learn rule number 1. And if you did see rule number 1 in my previous video, then press the like button to let me know. Now, just for reference for the Indomitus players, we can now take these in units of 9 rather than 6. They used to be 9 anyway before Indomitus, but of course you only get 6 miniatures in that set, which is why the data card said a unit of 6. So between 3 and 9, which actually gives us quite good tactical options. However, before we look at unit sizes, what about the feeder tendrils, their weapon? Because, well, that's changed dramatically. Feeder mandibles, Nick. Mandibles! They used to be strength 3 with 1 damage, and they had a special rule: if you were attacking something which had a higher toughness than you, you'd automatically wound them on a 5+, which was great if you were up against something which had obviously double toughness. However, the rule is totally different now. School reports just come in. Following your daughter's school report being sent home from school, please see the following link. I haven't actually seen her school report. Necron girl, you're in trouble.
Necrons!
Feeder mandibles now have their special ability on the hit roll. So if you roll a 6 on the hit roll, it automatically wounds your opponent. So no rolling to wound, you get an auto wound on a 6, and being on the to hit roll rather than the to wound roll, where you've got a lot more dice to get more chances of getting those 6s. Now that is an awesome rule. They're still strength 3 with 1 damage and no AP, so of course the rest of the dice where you don't roll 6s to hit will have to wound a toughness 6 or greater unit on 6s, so not quite as good as they were there. However, more dice, more chances of getting 6s. Overall, I think this is a better rule than we previously had. Now, as I said, they've also got reanimation protocol, very difficult to activate on a 4 wounded model, but they do also have living metal, so at least you can regain some of the wounds that you lose. They also have command protocols, as usual, only under the right circumstances are you going to be able to actually make use of command protocols, but they do have that special rule. Check out my video below if you want to learn more about command protocols. Stupid thing. Now if you take Scarabs in the Novok dynasty, you get an extra inch on your charge roll, making, well, charging a bit easier. Not only that, you get -1 AP rather than 0 AP in the Novok dynasty, making all of those attacks a lot more powerful. And if you can get the command protocols active at the same time, you could be +1 to strength and any wound rolls of a 6 an extra -1, bearing in mind if you're in the Novok dynasty and they're active in the Novok turn, you can use both of those protocols. That means we're going to be strength 4, auto wounding on hit rolls of a 6 and -2 AP on wound rolls of a 6. Sounding pretty good, but don't forget you will need a noble character on the table and a character nearby the Scarab unit. Novok Wraiths are... no. Wraiths? Novok dynasties are very good indeed, however we could use some of the custom dynasties, maybe Rad Wraithed, making your enemy -1 to toughness, helping out with our strength 3 weapons. We could make them objective secure. We could give them a 6-inch movement before the game starts. Lots of options which, well that is, let me grab it. That is what I love about this codex. We've actually got lots of options and lots of ways to play our awesome miniatures. You must be joking, right? Now for 1 CP we've got enslaved protectors, which means we can perform an heroic intervention on the Scarab unit if we want to, as if they were a character. Pretty handy. We've also got a new... it's not new. We've also got an improved stratagem, self-destruction, which is 1 CP. So when you assault and you choose to attack with your Scarabs, you can use this stratagem and one of the Scarabs can explode, doing mortal wounds. Now previously, on a roll of a 2 to a 6, you did D3 mortal wounds, a 1 missed. Well that's exactly the same, except if you rolled a 6, you now do a flat 3 mortal wounds. So it's either D3 mortal wounds, 3 mortal wounds if you get lucky, and well, nothing if you fail. And then of course the Scarab itself does die from the explosion. However, well, we could get around that. If we had a Canoptek Spider within 6 inches, in our command phase, we can get that Scarab back. Imagine that, a suicide Scarab every turn. Pretty cool. Now if we had a technomancer, we could also bring back one of those Scarabs. However, that's only once per battle. And you have to pay 20 points for the Hive Arcana war gear. So yeah, it's not that great to do it that way. However, the Cryptex can offer other things. You could take failsafe overcharge on a technomancer, giving you +1 attack. That's 5 attacks on the Scarabs. However, I think that and a lot of the other character buffs for Scarabs are probably better off on other assault units. However, it is an option. You think you can take on my Scarabs? Try it. Now in terms of the unit sizes, being able to take them in units of 3 to 9 gives us a lot of tactical options, a little bit like flayed ones do. We could take a very small unit, hide them behind a piece of terrain near an objective, potentially making them objective secure with the custom dynasty. We could take a medium-sized unit between 5 and 7 Scarabs, giving us the option to either just take objectives or potentially do some damage in the assault if we need to. And of course we've got the big units of 9, which if you want to go out and charge and assault, it's probably better to take those bigger units. Now, Scarabs aren't always about killing stuff. Potentially we could use them more defensively, what's called bubble wrapping. Scarabs are very good at protecting units that we don't want to be charged. So you put your Scarabs, basically the first line of defense, you surround something that you don't want to be charged, especially if you know there's going to be a first turn charge happening. That's called a bubble wrapping. Very handy. And of course, Scarabs, well, they can actually do a reasonable amount in assault anyway. So not only are they protecting the units you don't want to be attacked, which is usually a shooting unit, well, they can hold their own in the assault to some degree as well. Scarabs are also very useful for when you're up against an opponent that has a lot of, well, things like smite, a lot of mortal wounds coming in. They can go up front and they can take those mortal wounds. Remember, they've got 4 wounds each. It's going to take quite a few mortal wounds to get through your Scarabs before they can get to the rest of your army. Now, I don't like using Scarabs that way because, well, they're 15 points each. They're not exactly cheap. However, sometimes, especially if you're up against armies like Thousand Suns, it can be, well, your best option to take away the power of mortal wounds. Now, I previously made an advanced tactical video for Scarabs. It is an older edition, but I'll link you up to that video just there. And here is the playlist containing all of my 9th edition Necron Codex videos for you to watch next.